notion. So Donald Trump has been disqualified to be a presidential candidate by the Maine Secretary of State for being an insurrectionist under the 14th Amendment, Section 3. Now, the big problem with that is that individual secretaries of state don't decide who's committed insurrection and who's disqualified under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Congress does. Section 5 of the 14th Amendment specifically says that Congress shall have the power to legislate what an insurrection is, who commits insurrection, etc., etc., etc. Not individual secretaries of state, not the Colorado Supreme Court. No, Congress. And Donald Trump was impeached by Congress. The Senate voted to acquit Donald Trump. Only 57 senators voted that he committed insurrection. And what that means is, since you need 2/3 of the Senate to convict on impeachment, that Donald Trump was acquitted and didn't commit insurrection. So the body that's charged with legislating the applicability of the 14th Amendment, Section 3, found that no insurrection took place. So how is the Secretary of State of Maine disqualifying someone, Donald Trump, from being on the ballot for president when the authorities that be already found that he didn't commit an insurrection? Now, there's other arguments to say why Section 3 doesn't apply to the president, because it doesn't specifically list that office. The president doesn't take an oath under Section 3. He takes a different oath. The president has special duties to ensure free and fair elections and the integrity of the election system. Okay? So he's not an officer under Section 3. But even if he is, he was found not to have committed insurrection. The 14th Amendment was enacted post-Civil War to prevent this type of state partisanship in federal elections. It was meant so that representatives and senators weren't elected by, like, the state of Alabama, who were insurrectionists in the Civil War, to be sent up to Congress to start meddling in there and causing problems. They were barred from holding federal office. It wasn't so that the state itself could decide who's an insurrectionist. If the Secretary of State decides that question, then what good is a section? No, the 14th Amendment was made so that Congress could decide who could come into Congress, not for individual states to decide who could be sent to Congress. So this is clearly an unconstitutional move by the Secretary of State of Maine. It's just blatantly wrong. Now, of course, the confirmation of Joe Biden was potentially not going to happen that day, January 6th, because all these people decided to storm the Capitol building. But none of them were armed. None of them actually could have done anything. The cops could have just opened fire on them. There would have been no armed rebellion. People would have just all run away. So the idea that these people who went into the Capitol were rebels who were armed, who were going to overthrow the government, is just a fanciful notion. Okay, they were just a bunch of morons who deserve to be prosecuted and deserve to be put behind bars for being stupid idiots. They had no entitlement to do that. Just like people who went into the California legislature yesterday to protest the United States arming of Israel. They went in there and they disrupted. It's not an insurrection. You know, I hope you find this interesting. You might disagree. Leave your comments below. Say I'm a crazy nut. Whatever you want. You might be right. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Supreme Court of the United States won't take up this argument. Maybe they'll just let Maine and Colorado not put President Trump on the ballot. And those states aren't going to vote for Trump anyway.